Starting off this countdown, we have Bruce. Fish are friends, not food, according to Bruce in Finding Nemo. Honestly, a vegetarian shark? Yeah, right. I mean, props to Bruce for trying to be good, but one sniff of blood and holy crap, he turned into a cold-blooded killer. Literally, his eyes turn black and he goes on a rampage doing anything and everything to kill and eat Marlin and Dory. Not to mention they had to throw in a creepy reference to The Shining when Bruce shoves his face through a porthole cover and yells, "Here's Brucey!" Way to play into the creep factor. And our 9th spot today, we have the death of Mufasa. Of course, I had to put his death on this list. It still haunts all us 90s babies to this day. Like, it literally came out of nowhere. Simba is fooling around, having a grand old time until he falls into a stampede of animals. But don't worry, his father saves the day. But by doing so, he gets trampled. At that moment, we are frantic like Simba. Is he dead? Is he alive? I don't know, but alas, he's alive and we see him climb up the cliff to his brother. We're all like, phew! Close call. Psych, and Scar literally betrays his own brother and lets go of him, so he falls all the way back down to his death. The worst part is when we see Simba go over to his dead dad's body and start crying, telling him to get up. Oh, my heart can't take it. I'm so sorry, Simba. In our 8th spot, we have Ursula. If you guys are liking this video so far, then smash that like button because it really helps me out. As a kid, the final scene with Ursula and the Little Mermaid scared the crap out of me. There's just something so terrifying about a giant octopus emerging from the water, seeing her evil purple face cackle out loud. Not to mention her voice gets deeper and more evil and the weather around her churns. Everything about that scene is so dark, and as a kid I remember being terrified of giant Ursula. It gets even worse when Eric tries to save Ariel. He climbs aboard a wrecked ship and steers it right towards Ursula. He then impales her with the front of the ship. The most shocking thing about this is that Disney shows her getting impaled. It's pretty quick, but you do see it pierce her, and then Ursula lets out a huge groan in pain. To top it all off, she gets electrocuted, revealing her skeleton before she sinks down to the bottom of the sea. As a kid, that's bound to scare the crap out of ya. In our 7th spot, we have the Pink Elephants on Parade sequence. I know that Dumbo isn't the most popular Disney movie of all time, but if you've seen it, then you already know there's one completely random sequence that serves nothing to the plot, honestly. This is the Pink Elephants on Parade song number. Basically, in the movie, Dumbo gets drunk, you heard me correctly, and begins to hallucinate, during which he sees a bunch of creepy pink elephants dance around him. It's a 4-minute long sequence of just elephants morphing into different objects and changing shapes and colors. It's literally as if Dumbo was going through a bad acid trip, and you're just sitting there watching this long trippy scene like, what's going on? The worst part is that weird person who's composed of elephant heads with creepy smiles. Like, why? Disney, why? Like, it's on the line of, wow, look how good the animation is, to, wow, look how freaking traumatizing the animation is. In our 6th spot, we have The Bridge to Terabithia. Okay, this movie used to be one of my favorites as a kid, probably because I had a crush on Josh Hutcherson and Anna Sophia Robb. But anyways, this movie always made me cry. No matter how many times I've seen it, I will always cry. I just can't get over the scene when Jesse finds out that Leslie dies. Now, you don't actually see Leslie's death, but you don't need to. It's traumatic either way. Also, it comes out of nowhere. Jesse was out having fun with his teacher, comes home, and then hears the news. Immediately, he's in disbelief and he's all like, y'all are lying, and starts crying. It just breaks my heart. Now, the movie was based on a book, so it's not like it's Disney's fault for killing Leslie, but still. I'll never get over that damn scene, and then the scenes after that show Jessie and Leslie's family grieving her loss. We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with Tadashi's death. I don't know about you, but when watching Big Hero 6, I did not think anything remotely depressing was going to happen. Boy, was I wrong. Disney makes us fall in love with the bond that siblings Hiro and Tadashi have. They were both orphaned at a young age, so they really stuck together. You can see just how much Hiro loves Tadashi, he really looks up to him. But out of nowhere, and I mean nowhere, Tadashi dies in a fire. So you're telling me Hiro had just lost his parents, and now he loses his big brother? What the actual hell, like this one hits deep. Disney, you're cruel for that. In our 4th spot, we have The Incredibles. Hands down, one of my favorite Pixar / Disney movies. The first one though, not the second. I mean, the second was good, but the first one, mwah, love it. Anyways, one of the very first scenes really scared me as a kid. It's the scene where it says that the supers are cancelled. During that scene, we see a man try to end his life by jumping off of a building. Mr. Incredible saves him, and then the dude sues him, being like, I wanted to die, why did you save me? It's really dark and like out of nowhere. And this is a kids movie, yet they're talking about people trying to end themselves. In our 3rd spot, we have No Capes. This is another fairly dramatic scene from The Incredibles. So in the scene, we have my favorite Edna Mode, and she's talking about how Mr. Incredible's new suit is not having a cape. Why? Because tons of superheroes have died from wearing capes. She names Thunderhead, Stratogal, Dino Guy, Splashdown, and others. All of them died tragically having their capes caught on something and then being dragged to their deaths. Not only does she talk about it, but there's a flashback and we see all their deaths happen. In fact, on the special features on the Incredibles DVD, you can see the info cards of all the supers mentioned in the film. If we look at Stratogal, it says her age, and she was just a high school student, making this even more dark. And then we have the ending scene, of course, when Syndrome gets his cape caught in a jet's engine, and then you get what happens. He gets in there. Of course we don't see it, but like we all know what went down. In our 2nd spot, we have the toys under the bed. For this next point, let's take a look at Toy Story. So in the first Toy Story movie, the evil villain is Sid, a misbehaving kid that likes to torment his toys. Well, in one scene, Woody and Buzz get trapped inside of Sid's home. While trying to escape, they encounter the toys under the bed. Then we see this weird baby spider with a missing eye and an evil smile like crawl its way out from under the bed, and then it turns its creepy head to Woody. He freaks out, and then more weird mutant toys make a terrifying appearance, including a Jack-in-the-Box with a zombie hand instead of a clown, and it moves around by dragging itself along the ground. I don't know why they had to make this scene so freaking terrifying. And in our number 1 spot today, we have Clayton's death. There's a number of terrifying scenes in Tarzan, like the death of Tarzan's parents where they literally get mauled to death, and then later on you see their dead bodies just laying there. But that's not the scene we'll be talking about. No. Let's talk about an even worse scene, and that's Clayton's death. So the man in yellow was hired by Jane and her father to help them on their expedition to find the gorillas. But he had more sinister intentions and was going to capture the gorillas and sell them back in England. Well, towards the end of the movie, there's an epic showdown between him and Tarzan. During the scene, Clayton gets tangled in the vines and one gets wrapped around his neck. So he starts cutting off the vines. Tarzan sees this and tries to warn him, but before we know it, it's too late, and Clayton cuts all the vines but the one hanging around his neck. He falls down and accidentally hangs himself. The scariest part is when we see his shadowy, limp outline just swinging back and forth. That right there, folks, is traumatizing. Like, we get it, he died. Disney didn't need to add that gruesome little detail.
Coming in at number 10, we have Nessus the River Guardian's penis in Hercules. I get a cartoon bump on the head, but this is a bit much. In one scene of Disney's Hercules, he gets into a scrap with the River Guardian Nessus. Hercules punches Nessus in the air, and when he lands, he's hit in the head with his horseshoes. This gives him a huge bump. However, this huge bump ends up looking like a huge erect penis with a very visible ballsack to boot. As a kid, I didn't see this at all, but as an adult, I'm like, hello there, sir, what is on your head? More penises at number 9, this time edible ones. Hannah Montana, what are you flogging there? Disney's Hannah Montana had a load of marketing material to promote alongside one of the movies. This also included what they called concert candy. Alongside an image of Miley holding a microphone to her mouth were some really light skin-colored gummies in dubious shapes. Pretty phallic, really. She's like this, and then there's a packet of cocks. Literally, a bag of dicks. I think that these would be best served at a bachelorette rather than a kids' SingStar party, but that's just me. I can't believe I'm about to say this, but check out these butt beads in Cinderella at number 8. What are these cheeky mice up to? Whatever it is, I'm not sure that it belongs in a Disney movie. What was an innocent scene with Cinderella's rodent friends Gus and Jack looks pretty dodgy when you pause it. A bead necklace is broken and Jack is trying to collect some of the beads on Gus's tail. However, without context, this still image looks like Jack is ramming some beads up Gus's bottom. Peter Pan's schlong is coming in at number 7. In one scene, Peter Pan is dancing around with his irksome shadow, and I mean, I don't know how to say this, but Peter's, yeah, he's showing some signs of not being a child anymore, right there. Wow. Here's a still image, and here's a gif of the moment. It's like, surprise, here's my penis, which is really inappropriate because he's supposed to be a very young teenager. Just like, put it away, Pan. Coming into number 6, we have the much debated Sex in the Sky in Lion King. At one moment in Disney's The Lion King, Simba flops down on Pride Rock, and it looks like the stars spell out sex. The official line is that yes, the stars do spell something, but it is supposed to say SFX amongst the production team. However, many people are convinced that it says sex, and when you see it, it's really hard to unsee. Another Lion King offering at number 5, we have these boobalicious sand dunes. In one scene, Zazu is taking Nala and Simba to a watering hole, but in the background, there's a palm tree and some sand dunes, except those sand dunes without a shadow of a doubt look like they've been drawn to look like boobs. I mean, there they are, the lovely lady humps. Look for yourself. I think that you can achieve sand dunes without adding dark spots in the middle. That is a nip if ever I saw one. Disney isn't even trying to make these boobs subliminal. Get a load of this harpy from Fantasia. She's nude, she's angry, she has pert breasts. I never noticed this woman as a child, but as an adult, I mean, I'm all for freeing the nip, but whoa, they're Disney. More naked ladies at number 3, we have Esmeralda dancing naked in flames in The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Sexually repressed Frollo imagines a naked Esmeralda as he sings about hellfire. He clearly wants her, but she is not up for it at all, so he gets pretty angry and pretty vengeful. He imagines her dancing in flames, but at one point she's clothed, then at another, she definitely isn't. Hello there, nude Disney character. This is more than a little disturbing. We have the minister's erection in Ariel the Little Mermaid coming in at number 2. As Eric is under Ursula's spell and they're about to get married, the minister gets a little overexcited. Why? Why did they draw that bump? I don't know what we're supposed to think. Some people say it's a knee, but I'm like, maybe from his 3rd leg. Woohoo! Finally, at number 1, I just can't see this. Absolute bum alert. Bum. We have this cheeky bum in the Lion King poster. Here is the Lion King poster. Totally fine. But wait. When you look a bit closer, it really does look like a sexy lady's backside. And she's there, ready, with a pert butt. See? Yeah, you won't be able to unsee that.
In at the number 10 spot, we have good teenagers, take off your clothes, and that was a phrase said in the popular movie Aladdin. What? So in the scene, Aladdin and the magic carpet fly up to Jasmine's balcony, only to find Jasmine's tiger Raja was up there. You can hear a little subtle voice in the background that supposedly says, good teenagers, take off your clothes. In order to hear this, you actually have to turn up your TV really loud. Disney released a statement saying, in the movie Aladdin, it doesn't actually say that. What? What are you guys hearing? It actually says, come on good kitty, take off and go. The rumor started in 1993 when Aladdin was released to VHS. And at the number 9 spot, the word sex is spelled out in the Lion King movie. A 4-year-old boy from New York actually spotted this image while he was watching the movie. So just around halfway through the movie, there was a cloud of dust that forms when Simba, Pumbaa, and Timon were gazing into the stars while on a cliff. If you actually watch carefully, the newly formed dust appears to spell out SEX. Of course, Disney had a rebuttal, and they said that the image actually spells SFX, and there's not that line on that E. It was inserted by the special effects group, so it's supposed to spell like special effects abbreviated. Things are looking up into number 8 spot. Well, I'm talking about the minister's erection in The Little Mermaid. So during Ursula's wedding scene, you can notice something protruding from the minister's pelvic region. And it looks like someone is more excited about this wedding than Ursula. Although it does look like an erection, if you look at this scene from a different angle, it's the minister's knee, and it's just badly positioned. Okay, so in at number 7, it's it's gonna have you questioning your eyesight, because I'm talking about the movie poster of The Lion King. So back in 2002, The Lion King was re-released in theaters for limited time, and this is a popular movie poster from it. At first glance, the poster seems innocent, right? It has Simba on the cover, but if you look closely, it looks like a semi-naked girl wearing what appears to be a thong. This is either Disney being very clever, or we just have too many people in the world with dirty minds. But now I probably just ruined your guys' childhood, because you're always gonna see that image, and I'm sorry. Okay, so The Little Mermaid makes a second appearance on this list, and they come into number 6. I mean, we're talking about the damn Little Mermaid here, and they're making this list twice. And that's because a penis appears to be on the front cover of the VHS movie. So on the cover of the VHS, it seems that one of the castle's tips resembles a penis. And because of this, the castle is often referred to as the phallic palace. And phallic is like another term for penis. It was reported that an angry artist tried to like sneak this image in there, and this is to get revenge because he was gonna get laid off. However, on the newly released version of The Little Mermaid, you don't see this image appear on the cover. Okay, so in at the number 5 spot, we have the naked person that appeared in The Rescuers. During this scene, when Bernard and Bianca are riding around the city in a sardine tin, if you pay attention, you'll notice a naked woman through a window in the background. Disney actually made this subliminal message public, and they claim that she was put into the film during the post-production. On January 8th of 1999, Disney decided to recall 3.4 million copies of the 1977 animated movie. Well, if you thought things couldn't get any more shocking, well, I'm sorry to say it does, and this next one comes into number. We have more penis imagery, and this time in the Hercules. So after Hercules punches out the River Guardian monster, a horseshoe hits him right on the forehead, which causes him an awkward looking bump to grow out of his head. It eventually grew into a penis shape, including morphing his eyebrows into a set of testicles. Okay, this next image happens in Alice in Wonderland, and this comes into number 3. So I think we can all clearly see what this rabbit hole looks like. And I'm not sure why Disney feels the need to insert all these sexual innuendos in children's movies. Not only is this image seen in the film, a lot of people say that Alice in Wonderland has a lot of drug references such as cocaine, speed, LSD, nitrous oxide, crystal meth, MDMA, marijuana, mushrooms, opium, and nicotine. I'm not really sure what's happening in this movie, but I think Alice needs some help, because that woman takes a whole lot of drugs. Okay, so Mickey Mouse makes an entrance into number 2, and that's because he's caught holding a penis. This image is an internet favorite. Minnie's dress makes a subliminal penis shape in Mickey's hand, which confirms a lot of people's beliefs that Disney sexualizes their content and displays it for a vulnerable audience. Okay, so we've all made it to the moment you guys have all been waiting for. We're in at number 1. But quickly, let's recap everything we've had. We've had The Little Mermaid and all the penises. We've heard Aladdin tell teenagers to take off their clothes. We've seen the sex words in clouds, a naked woman in The Rescuers. Alice might be using a whole lot of drugs. But in at number 1, things get a whole lot worse. And we're talking about the movie The Monsters, Inc. That did really good in the movie theaters and was seen by a lot of people. So what are we talking about? Well, this graphic image, which was allegedly seen in the final scenes of The Monsters, Inc., it depicts what appears to be a children's drawing of 2 people in a compromising position. This image has been circulated all over the internet, and it's left people wondering if this image is real or if it's just a hoax. So I looked into it a little bit more, and it actually turned out that this isn't the image used in the movie. Someone photoshopped this really well and was able to like spread this rumor. And that's the reason why it comes into this list in at number 1, because it even fooled me. However, it was confirmed that animators working on the film created this image as a joke, so this was created by someone who worked on the movie. Disney just knows how to pick.
Number 10. Pitching Aladdin. Aladdin is a lovely movie about valuing yourself beyond the external appearance of riches and fame. However, the majority of the story is made possible by the enigmatic genie, who himself is a being of awesome power, able to grant any of 3 wishes. And while the story is wonderful, we do need to remember how it opens. See, at the beginning of the film, Aladdin is presented as a sort of sales pitch by a merchant, which is a tactic frequently used with the hope of getting people to spend more on goods than the goods are actually worth. Because of this, and due to the film's ending, it's entirely possible that the story is meant to scam us, the purchaser, out of our hard-earned money. Number 9. cars. A world where anthropomorphic cars exist in the place of humans. It's cute, but certainly not if you think about it for more than a couple of seconds. Why are bugs cars? Are all living things in this universe cars? Down to the bacteria? Where does gas come from? Dinosaurs? But if bugs are cars, wouldn't dinosaurs also have been cars as well? Going on the establishment of this universe as everything that lives must be a car or some sort of motor vehicle, then that would make the act of drinking gasoline an act of cannibalism. Oh my god. How do cars reproduce? Oh, no, I can't. Number 8. The Old Mill. The Old Mill is a short film from 1937 produced by Disney. It's an interesting film that delves into a surrealist presentation of life on an old and disused windmill. However, some theorize that there's a much more sinister meaning behind the film's existence. See, the dreamlike nature and strange angling of the Old Mill suggests that the film is, in its entirety, a dream. As it progresses further into a storm, the dream becomes a nightmare, which is commonly experienced at REM sleep. In particular, REM sleep is a point in which the sleeper is the closest to death, where their mind becomes as close as it ever will be to the beyond. Scary stuff, right? Only in waking does the sleeper escape their mortality. Number 7. Post-Aladdin. Returning to Agrabah, there's another theory which has been rattling around about the potential state of its world. See, Aladdin primarily takes place within a singular city. The only time it doesn't are when we visit the tomb or take a brief dip in the ocean. However, one theory goes that, based on inferred meaning from several lines, the film may take place in the far distant future, to the point where even the name of the real world Arabia may have been altered as dialects have changed and language evolved into the similar but distinct Agrabah. If the genie had spent 10,000 years to get his so-called crick in the net, then we must wonder what length of time in history could have passed for such an artifact to have been built and then passed on. This theory is supported by the genie's frequent pop culture references, ones which he could not have known. Number 6. Wheezy. Yes, Stinky Pete was the villain of Toy Story 2. We all know that. Oh, what a big bad man, sure, but I know the truth. Remember Wheezy? Cute, gentle, discarded Wheezy, so comfortable in his new disuse as he was tossed aside by Andy? Wheezy, who was only played with for 3 to 6 months before his speaker broke. He watched, cold, mute, and alone as Andy picked up better toys, toys that didn't break. And then, when he found the yard sale, there was a glimpse of hope. Perhaps he might be able to escape his misery, his life stuck behind the bookshelf. But that hope is cruelly stolen from him by that wretched cowboy who hides him away once more in the shelves, that paper prison where he's rotted for so long. And then, when Buster takes Wheezy, it's a dream come true. But once more, Woody throws himself into the fray. Wheezy's eternal warden of hate. But when Woody is taken for his troubles by Al, it reveals something. Perhaps Wheezy planned this whole thing. He knew Woody would have tried to save him, and so he made sure that Woody was caught by the infamous toy collector. Al's Toy Barn is a constant commercial. Wheezy would have seen it at some time. A desperate plan, and ultimately one that was necessary for his freedom. Number 5. Fantasia. Disney's Fantasia is an artistic masterpiece, a surrealist showcase of animated skill and talent. However, it shares some interesting similarities with another work, one which many might know, Dante's Inferno. See, the beginning of the film could be interpreted as the flashing of a man's life before his eyes, the result of one passing on. From there, he is confronted by a devilish figure, and eventually taken up into heaven. With a precedent set by the Old Mill, it's clear that many workers at Disney were interested in portraying surrealist dreams, and with the amount of chemicals produced by the brain as one passes away, it's possible that the entire structure of this film was meant to represent this. Number 4. End of Snow White. Snow White, a Disney classic. A tale of romance, joy, and music. A tale of the end. In the opening of the film, Snow White is singing into a well when she is approached by a prince on a white steed. A common trope for sure, until we think about the implications of the color of the steed. When looking at the horsemen of the apocalypse, there are two riders whose horses are of a white color, one being conquest, the other death. I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and he who sat on it had the name Death, and Hades was following with him. A quote from the Book of Revelations. So, when Snow White eludes the prince here, only for him to find her at the story's end where she lay in the throes of poison, we must wonder, where was he taking her? I believe it's to her end. Her true end. Number 3. Heihei. In Moana and in Hawaiian legends, there are many gods. Several are central to the plot of the film. However, none are more devious than the one hidden within. That's right, Heihei is a demigod. This bizarre chicken is present for it all, and despite his immediate clumsiness, he is surprisingly durable. A normal chicken will live for roughly 5 to 10 years, and yet during the lifespan of Moana, Heihei never changes, never ages, just simply is. He does not need to eat nor sleep. All Heihei needs to do is be present to watch over his charge, Moana. And Moana does know this. She refuses to eat him with the statement that there's more to him than many think. I agree. Number 2. Carl. If you thought the beginning of Up was heavy, wait until you hear this. Carl is an old man, one who's lived for an extremely long life and is likely close to his end. This theory claims that he's already passed on, with Russell being his guardian angel. The idea of earning badges makes sense when contextualized by earning wings. Russell's desperation for Carl's approval is then justified by the fact that his entire existence requires Carl to be a good person, the earning of the badge being a symbol of Carl's kindness. And if angels can assume different forms, it would make sense for them to assume the form of a child, as Carl and Ellie were never able to have children, something which would have made him happier to see. Number 1. Wall-E food. A journey through space requires a massive amount of time and preparation. Resources are important, and their management is even more so. In Wall-E, the ships that are transporting humans throughout the stars have clearly been doing so for an extremely long time, far past the projected point that they'd initially imagined. So, what then are they eating? Apparently, it's a synthetic protein shake, but you can't just whip nutritious molecules out of the thin air. That's sorcery. So where do the materials for these foods come from? Completely separate question. How do they dispose of bodies? And don't tell me it's cremation. Lighting a fire on a spaceship is such a ludicrous idea, I will laugh you into the sun.